for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Thursday night. It is March 30th. The Montreal Canadiens lose by a score of 5-2 at the Bell Center versus the Florida Panthers in the game that everyone was looking at. Please don't let them go to overtime. We don't want both teams to pick up points. We want, one team to maybe gain a little bit of ground in the standings, but the other team not to lose. So, no, one team has to win the game, and in the end, it was the Florida Panthers. To tell you the truth, I don't even know if it was the Panthers that won this game. It almost seems like Matthew Tkachuk, a day after his father went on with my buddy Carlo Koliakovo on the radio and called out the Panthers for their lack of toughness, for being soft, for being an easy team to play against. Well, guess how the Panthers respond? 2 games in 2 nights in Toronto last night in overtime by a score of 3-2. And this one wasn't close at the Bell Center, not at all, even though the Canadiens started off with a 1-0 lead a minute 23 into the game when Sean Farrell scored his first NHL goal. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But then, my God, the Florida Panthers went to work. And really, it was Matthew Tkachuk who scored 3 goals in this hockey game, the last one being an empty netter. But he also added a helper. Lundell scores his first of 2. Tkachuk scores 3. Lundell scores 2. His first of 2 for Lundell was off of a rebound off of Matthew Tkachuk's shot that gave Samuel Montembeault some difficulty. Montembeault was left to himself tonight. It was one of those games where you could tell there's very few games left in the schedule, and now there's 6 games after tonight. It's one of those games where you can tell that the Canadiens were already mathematically eliminated from a playoff spot. Guys were playing with eggs in their pockets tonight. They were playing not to get hurt. They're playing for the season to end. I'm sorry if that's a little bit strong, but that's the way I feel. Hey, maybe some guys will deny it, admit it, whatever. But we're going to talk to a former NHLer, George Laraque, in just a minute, and we'll see what George has to say about that. But first, want to tell you that the Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Bittt at Tibi. Embrace your true nature. Bittt at TV is brewed in Quebec. It's a winner of a dozen international awards. It offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste, and also brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. George, what's going on?
What's up? How you doing, Tony?
Very good. How are you?
I'm good. I just got back from Bell Center, actually.
All right. Yeah, because you don't live too far from the arena.
Yeah, well, in South Shore, but you take the Pont Victoria, and it takes about 20 minutes, so it was easy.
All right. Okay. So, wow, you must have just got home then. Fantastic stuff. Okay. Are you with me on this one? Let's start with this. Matthew Tkachuk beat the Canadiens by himself tonight.
Okay. To start, Tony, I want to say how disappointing that I am. And the reason I was disappointing is I was with my kids tonight. First game that they get to see live at Bell Center was the birthday. And I told my son that it was actually to watch one of the games of the Montreal Canadiens that are in a lost cause with rebuilding cause. I said tonight is going to be a very good night because when those last couple of games they had nothing to play for, now there was something to play for tonight. There's a couple guys that played for the Panthers that are with Montreal that want to prove something, and also the Montreals could have played the spoilers. And when you could play the spoiler, it's kind of like something that you could play up to something. Like, you're like, you know what, we're out, but we could hurt the Florida Panthers. So I thought the effort was going to be there to kind of play the spoiler.
And you were talking about Samuel Montembeault, Michael Matheson, and Mike Hoffman.
Yeah. All these guys that played for Florida, and I thought that they're gonna play with a chip in their shoulder, and at the same time, they're gonna make it hard for them. And tonight, no atmosphere at Bell Center. My son was like, "What's going on? Why there's nothing?" It was dead. It was like guys were playing like they already booked a ticket to go to vacation, and they didn't want to get hurt, because sometimes towards the end of the season, you don't want to get hurt by blocking a shot for nothing, and then it hampers you in vacation. So guys packed it in tonight at Bell Center, and that was wrong. Yes, the Florida Panthers are a better team. Yes, they're playing for a playoff spot, but you can't have a performance like that at home with all these fans that were there. It was a sad game to watch. From the stands.
Hey, George, man, I really appreciate the fact that you're doing this on a day where your kids are celebrating their birthday, man. If I would have known, I would have, I would have put it off. I would have had somebody else to join me tonight. I mean, wow, you don't have to do that. But...
no, that's okay. They're turning 14 today, and they wanted to go to the game. For those who don't know,
you have twins, correct?
Yeah, boy and a girl, 14 years old. They turned 14 today, and they wanted to go to Bell Center, and man, they were, and that's their first experience. They've been there before when they were 1 year old, so they don't remember.
Oh,
at 14, wow. At 14 to see this game, I didn't know what to say. It was not good.
Now I totally understand, and it's funny that you're saying this, because this is how I started off the podcast, right? Started off saying that you can tell they were a team that got officially eliminated already. They were a team that already is counting down the amount of games they have left, counting down the amount of days. They look like a bunch of players who did not want to get hurt tonight, playing with eggs in their pockets, and none of them would get cracked or broken, looking to go on vacation, looking to go somewhere hot. Having said that, George, I understand your disappointment, but I'm going to tell you this. George, this is common nature. Like, I don't want to make an excuse for them, and you're right, some teams do play spoiler. And I would have liked to have seen the Canadians rebound too, because a couple of weeks ago they had probably their worst performance, or one of their worst performance of the season in Florida. It was terrible, right? Where I don't remember what the score was, but were they down 7-3 after the first period or whatever? Anyway, that was terrible. But I didn't expect much, George, and I don't expect much between now and the end of the year. I really don't.
But Tony, I'm going to agree with you with one thing. It is better that they lose every game to finish the season. It is better, and I hope they do, because they have to draft in the top 5. You have to have a top 5 pick. You can't draft after 5. After 5, it's not a home run. The top 5 is, we cannot pass these teams that are ahead of us. So hopefully they lose every game, because they're rebuilding right now, winning. Like with this team, with everything that we see, most guys that won't be back there next year, a lot of guys are getting opportunities now because veterans are not there. The team is hurt. So obviously some of the guys that were playing so good right now, I don't even think they're in the plan next year. So at this stage, just lose games. Just lose them all.
Yeah.
Like Martin St. Louis, obviously he wants to win every game. And that's why he's not too happy about Sean Farrell playing. But again, Sean Farrell is playing because when Montreal convinced him to sign with them, the way it works is you promise the agent that he's going to play a couple of games so you could squash 1 year off his entry-level contract. That's how it works. That's how you convince guys from college to sign with you. So they know they're going to have a couple of games to lose one game, because everybody wants that entry-level contract to be out so you can get a bigger contract. But aside from that, for the GM, they know how important it is to draft top 5. I almost put an X on Bedard because we would have to be really lucky to get him. But if we get a top 3 picks by finishing like in the last 5 in the standing, it would be a home run for this team.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that all season I wanted them to lose games because I wanted them to have either be in on Connor Bedard or have a top 3 pick. And now that everyone wants the okay.
But Tony, there's one thing though that I have to tell you regarding this.
Tell me, my
friend. In the beginning of the season, they were healthier. They were healthier, and their core were playing. You don't want a core of your team losing, getting used to losing. But the more the season went, Everybody's getting hurt. Now you have an American Hockey League on the ice. What's the point of winning now? Like most of your core guys are hurt. They're not in the lineup. So it's not even going to hurt them if the team is losing. They've had an
American Hockey League team for about a month, George.
Yes, that's why now the win don't matter anymore. But in the beginning, when the full roster was there, Tony, that's why I was arguing with you, because I was like, they got to have a winning mentality. But now there's no sense. They have to lose every game.
The worst thing that happened to the Montreal Canadiens this year is that Samuel Montembeault stood on his head for 5 or 6 games and ended up stealing points for the Canadiens that they had no business taking in those games. That's what happened.
But at the same time, Samuel Montembeault showed everyone that he could be part of the solution with his core players to be a top 2 goalie with this team. The team still needed number 1 goaltending, but now I'm more comfortable having Montembeault as a backup role with what I've seen this year. But, Allen, they got to find a way to get rid of him. He's going to be close to be untouchable with his long-term contract, but he cannot be number 1 anymore. We all know Montembeault is not ready to be a number 1 yet, but for a number 2, I think he could take quite a big load of games. But Montreal has to address this. Right now in the NHL, a lot of teams are looking for goalies. And Montreal, they're in a position that they're going to need that too. I thought Askarov could have been one from Nashville, but now Nashville is going to rebuild with Askarov that has been playing unreal the last 2 months. And it's Saros that they're going to sacrifice in 2 years. And Montreal don't want Saros because he's going to be too old in 2 years, and they need someone young now.
Would you go after Carter Hart? Would you go after Carter Hart?
No, because you remember, this team should be making the playoff in a regular basis in 3 years. Yeah. Yes, next year they could surprise. In 2 years they could, but in 3 years,
I'm with you. Okay.
For the next 10 years, they'll be there. In 3 years, you look at how old Carter Hart's going to be and how many years he's going to have left with this team that's going to starting to win. So I'd like to have a goalie younger than that grows up with this young core of guys that are there. But, if it's Carter Hart, you have to have anyway. In the meantime, because there's no one else, I will take him. But I'd like someone younger. But again, Montreal is not going to be the only team, Tony, as you know, this summer that's going to try to find a goalie for the young core guy, because there's a lot of teams are rebuilding. Like
they might not even try this summer to find the young goalie. They might wait the year after that.
Right. They might. You're 100% right. There's no rush right now to do so because of rebuilding. As long as those young guys are playing, they have good veterans that are surrounding these young guys, because development is the key. Because it's one thing to have a lot of young players that you see you're developing these guys, but if you don't have the right core of veterans surrounding them, it's gonna be like Edmonton. Edmonton was rebuilding for 10 years with first-round draft pick and all these young guys. They just learned how to lose. There was no good veteran around them to show them the way how to win, and it was a disaster. They had to draft McDavid, the best player in the world, maybe in the history of the NHL, and get rid of all these guys. So finally, that team could start winning.
All right, okay. What did you make? Because Matthew Tkachuk was unbelievable tonight. And I think it's no coincidence. I mean, I'm not saying that only his father motivated him, because obviously he's an amazing player. I mean, he surpassed the 100-point mark tonight. And boy, if you thought that Calgary won that trade, boy, were you wrong, because the best player in that deal, with all due respect to Jonathan Huberdeau right now anyway, is Matthew Tkachuk. And you get the feeling he's going to get better, because he hasn't even entered the prime of his career yet. And Jonathan Huberdeau, you would think, probably was in the prime last year. Having said that, what do you make of his father telling my buddy Carlo Koliakovo that Matthew's team is soft, they don't finish their checks, they're an easy team to play against? What do you make of that?
Okay. Just
and
before
what would you think if you were his teammate?
Okay, first of all, just before I answer this, I want to defend Huberdeau a bit. I've talked to some staff in the Flames organization, and Sutter his style is too much on defense. He's not letting the offensive guy be creative. He's too much about defense. That's why Huberdeau.
We knew that already.
Company, but I'm defending him a bit because it's not the same style. He's axing too much on defense. That's why he doesn't have the same points. But I love Huberdeau. They're going to fire Sutter after they don't make the playoff this summer. and then wait to see the breakout year he's going to have next year. That's what I have to say about Huberdeau. Now, regarding...
Now, hold on a second. I want to answer that. So everything you're saying is true. Daryl Sutter is he's Jacques Lemaire 2.0. All right? Very, very defensive coach. Very. Won Stanley Cups like that with the Los Angeles Kings, won 2 of them, and thinks the game hasn't evolved and you can still win cups like that.
Tony,
and he's wrong. Having said that, hold on.
Yeah.
Matthew Tkachuk picked up 104 points with the Calgary Flames last year.
Yeah.
Same coach.
Tkachuk,
Johnny Gaudreau picked up 115.
Yeah. Matthew Tkachuk is obviously the better player between the two. But I do think that when another coach is going to be better, the relationship between the two didn't start out well. And just so you know, if you have a guy that scored 115 points last year and you're the coach and you have a player coming to your team, you let him breathe, you let him play, because obviously you know that he could put points up for you. You don't transform him into a defensive player and ripping in him in the media. You need the superstars to play for you. You can't be against them, because at the end of the day, if the team has to pick between Huberdeau and Sutter, they're going to take Huberdeau.
Yeah, so, and you're right about that. The sad reality is that Jonathan Huberdeau is not Daryl Sutter's kind of player. You can tell. You remember when he said that he went to the can? I mean, he tried to say it, whatever. I still don't get why he said it the way he said it. I don't know if he was trying to be funny or whatever, but you can just tell he's not his kind of player. Yeah.
Now to go back to the Tkachuk.
Yes.
People, you have to know the history of Keith Tkachuk, because it's been, I love his honesty. He's kind of like a Jeremy Roenick guy. He talks, he walked the walk the way that he played in the NHL. And all his son plays with the same greedy style. He knows damn well that when he's talking about Florida, he's not stupid. He knows his son is the best player. He knew while he was talking his son at 97 points. He knows his son is gritty. So he knew that when he was talking about toughness, his son brings it on the table, and his son cannot feel like bad about what his dad said. Obviously, I'm pretty knowing Matthew and any player, he would have loved his dad to just shut up and not to say anything, because you're an assistant captain of this team. Your teammate's going to look into you. They're going to ask you about it. And he's going to say, you know what? I can't control my dad. I'm sorry, guys. My dad said that. It's not the way that I think. He has to say that. He's an assistant captain. But you know what? And then I don't even want to talk about the fact that he responded after what his dad said with 3 goals and assists, 101 points. You play against the American Hockey League. Make the playoff. Make the playoff, Matthew. Make the playoff with your team, and then you could talk. Because you beat the Canadian, that's nothing. You have to make the playoff. This team is a playoff team. They started the season wrong. Bobrovsky's a disaster. But anyway, they still have a big chance to do it. If they finish on a good stretch, I don't like the goaltending for the Penguin Pittsburgh. That's what could bring them down right now. But anyway, we'll see what's going to happen.
Who's their goalie? Tristan Jarry or Casey DeSmith? Who's their goalie? Who would you start in the playoffs?
Well, man, Jarry cannot stop a beach ball. And Casey DeSmith might as well packed in the first round. You know what's crazy about goalies? You remember years ago, the NHL had la crème de la crème in net. The more forward that we go, there's no more of them. Like Tony, tell me, like after Vasilevsky and Shesterkin, tell me who's the top 5 goalie in the league after them. I'm sorry, Linus Hallmark is in there. Those 3 guys, take him out. Give me the top 5 in the league now.
Very tough.
It's crazy. It is crazy. Teams, obviously, teams could win. Like you look at Colorado when they won the Cup. You're not going to win with a Carey Price anymore because of cap issue. But still, to have a decent goalie that could do the job, even Markstrom in Calgary, he's a disaster. Bobrovsky's a disaster. They're all disasters, man. It's insane.
Look, the reality is that there's a lot of goalies who are having good seasons, but maybe, just maybe, we're probably not all sold on them just yet. You know what I mean? So everyone knows that Shesterkin and Vasilevsky are the real deal. I would add Connor Hellebuck to that list, by the way, of being the real deal. He's not Shesterkin, I don't think. I don't think he's Vasilevsky either, but he's a good goalie. Yeah. The other goalies that are having really good years, you talked about UC Saros before, Jake Ottinger, Georgiev. Like I said, like the book is still out on them, but no, you're right. I understand what you're saying. Once upon a time, there was Dominic Hasek, and there was Patrick Waugh, and there was, Marc-Andre Fleury, and there was Marty Brodeur, and there was Roberto Luongo, and
Ed Belfour, Curtis Joseph. Like each team had someone that was very good.
Ron Hextall was not too shabby.
Well, he was crazy,
that was a little bit earlier. Okay, so now late 80s with the Philadelphia Flyers. He was awesome in defeating the Canadiens in what was it in 87, but then the Canadiens got back to him and beat him in 89, but then lost out to the Calgary Flames in the Stanley Cup final. All right. Did you see and or hear about Nick Kyprios's report?
Yes, I had heard about it. I heard about the report.
For those who missed it, Nick Kyprios, former NHLer, of course, who does television with Sportsnet and has his own podcast. What are you drinking?
Pure organic coconut water.
Pure organic coconut water. Okay. Wow. All right. How does it taste?
Like coconut water. I don't know how what can I say clearer than that?
Yeah. I'm not crazy about the taste, but maybe there's some that are better than others. Maybe is that good? That one there good? Yeah.
You drink too much of energy drink and Bittt Tibi, so you don't like the natural stuff.
Maybe you're right about that. Okay, now
back to Jeff Gorton.
Nick Kyprios said that what he's hearing around the league is that Jeff Gorton wants to be a GM again. And so if there's an opportunity that comes his way, don't be surprised if Jeff Gorton jumps on it. And I'm this is not word per word. It's basically what I've gathered because I wasn't able to read it and I wasn't able to hear it yet. But I'm just going by reports.
I have something to say regarding that, okay? And I know you're going to talk about it tomorrow on radio. You're going to talk about it everywhere. So you're lucky because what I'm going to tell you is going to make you think. And you're going to base your argument on what I'm going to tell you right now. And everybody's listening. Listen to this carefully, okay?
Yeah.
This is bullshit. And I'll tell you why. Jeff Gorton put together the rebuild of the New York Rangers. He did an amazing job. What got him out of the Rangers is because the lack of toughness that he did when he rebuilt that team and he was out. But he did a really good job with the Rangers. With the Canadian, he is making all the trades. He is the boss. The reason why he can't use an agent is to negotiate contract, to do these things that he can't do, that he doesn't have time to do. So
hold on.
Let me finish.
It wasn't going to pass in this market if Jeff Gorton was the GM.
Yes, but let me finish though. He's making all the shots right now. He's taking all the shots. Can't use is doing the contract. He has full control with this management. He can't use. Jeff Gorton did. Jeff Gorton wanted to be the GM or whatever. He could have been the GM anywhere that he wanted. To be the president of Montreal Canadiens, you have a job for life. So he's well treated here. He's doing an amazing job with this team. And he's going to see a team soon that every year they won't have to break a sweat to make the playoff. Why would he go elsewhere to restart everything all over again when right now the process is what he's done with the team is awesome? So I don't see this happening at all. I understand what Kyprios is saying, but he can't use. And then all of a sudden he's going to go because he wants to be the GM. He's making all the decision anyway. He's making it all. Like he did with the Rangers.
So hold on a second. I don't know if he's going to go or not. I mean, at this point, only he knows.
Not going to go.
Okay?
He's
I'll
not.
say this. I'll say this.
But I'm telling you, he's not going.
Okay, listen. Perfect. I'll say this. Nick Kyprios is real good at what he does.
Yes.
And, I don't think he's wrong to say that Jeff Gorton's name is out there. Okay? Now, because your name is out there, it doesn't mean you're going to end up going anywhere. Okay?
Exactly.
Now,
but
I will say this. Everything you said, yeah. Okay,
Tony,
there's a lot of what you said that's true.
But Tony, I understand that team looking for GM, seeing that he's not a GM, you want to give him the mood. You want him on your team. But it's not going to happen. He just started a process with the most historical franchise in the league, in the history of the NHL.
I don't disagree with you, and you're right. He has that position as long as he wants it. He has that position as long as he wants it.
So Tony, it was good to see what Scipio said. Next point. It's not going to happen. That's it.
I'm not so sure about that it won't happen. I'm going to tell you why. Because you know what? He can pull off this trade, that trade, make this team better, do this, do that. Guess what? You'll never get the credit. Even though you said that Jeff Gorton is calling, even though you said that Jeff Gorton, if there has to be between one or the other that is in charge, even though you said that Jeff Gorton is in charge, and by the way, a lot of people believe that, okay? He'll never get any credit.
Tony, hold on. This is where you're wrong, because
it doesn't wrong.
It's not, Tony, and I'll tell you why again. Forget about the fans, what they think. I know, you know, team knows, scout knows, GM knows who's making the shot. GM is talking to Jeff Gorton. They know. That's the most important thing. On the outside, if the people, now they'll know if they're listening to us right now in the podcast, what I just told them, now they know. Can't use is the GM to do the contract negotiation. Jeff Gorton is the big boss. The team that he's talked to, they know that, and that's why they want him. Why do you think Jeff Gorton's name is out there? If you say, Tony, that he doesn't get recognition, then they wouldn't want him. They want him because he's calling the shots, and it's normal. Yes. He's one of the best in the NHL right now. He has a proven record of rebuilding a team. What he's done with the Rangers, what he's doing in Canada right now,
at all levels, as a GM, as an assistant GM, as a scout.
So that's why, Tony, for the second time, next subject, it's over. Drop the mic.
Okay, drop the mic. It's over. All right, okay. What are we going to talk about then? Hey, let's talk about Sean Farrell's first goal in the net. Where's your pillow, by the way?
Ever since you give me shit about not doing the show naked anymore with my pillow and everything.
Why? George, it was okay when you did it week 1. You're not wearing anything and you're holding on to a pillow. It's okay when you do it week 2. It's okay when you do it week 3. But as of week 4, George, I was starting to see some stains on that pillow.
There can't be any stain on the pillow because I'm vegan, by the way. Tony, are you drinking water? My God, I thought you were allergic to water.
No, So you don't know this, but I don't know if you were there, but on Monday, Jean-Charles and I, we made a bet. We made a bet.
Did you lose some weight?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what the bet is.
I know what the bet is. Whoever loses the most amount of weight.
It was 62. It was 62 days. 62 days. He gave me up until May 18, or for whatever reason, that's the date he gave me. Okay. He said he was going to lose 21. I said I was going to lose 25. Okay. I got on the scale on Monday. All right. Should I say? Well, I mean, his son ended up putting it on Instagram anyway, so I might as well just say it. But I got on the scale on Monday at 271.2. Monday at 8:15 a.m. It's Thursday, 10:30 p.m. What do you think the scale said 2 hours ago?
260.
260.1. Yeah. So I dropped 11 pounds. 11.1 pounds. But I'm not getting carried away. Everyone told me the first 10 are easy.
Tony, the first 10 are easy. The first 10 is just water. So relax. You have to start working out because you just lost. It's water retention. That's all there is. If you start eating more normally or whatever, you'll gain it all back. You have to start moving a bit, working out a bit, bro.
It's taken care of. I have a plan. And if you would see me eating the last 3 days, you would be proud, my friend. You would be proud in a way. In a way you wouldn't be, because I do have meat. So you'd probably be disappointed about that. But very, very heavy on the vegetables. I'm having vegetables and water like it's going out of my ears. Like you can't believe.
Awesome.
Yeah. Today I probably drank 4 liters.
That's a lot.
That's a lot?
Yeah, that's a lot.
You know what? I had somebody tell me I should be drinking 4 liters. Why is it a lot? Tell me.
I'm vegan also, right? So it's different. So I get a lot of my water in my vegetables and my fruit that I have every day. So I drink about 3 liters a day, and I'm 300 pounds, right? So you're smarter than me. I don't know how much vegetables, fruits that you have, but if you have a lot of water through the fruit and vegetables you have, you don't need as much water. So it's just that 4 liters is a lot. Be careful.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in terms of water eating, but I've heard that too much water also is not good.
I spoke to one earlier today. You know, we pee out about 3 liters a day. So we have to replace that.
Yeah, anyway,
I'm not an expert, okay? Let's change conversation. But I'm going to tell you something. I've said this before, but my wife in the past, when I told her I was going to drop weight, a day in, my family members, everyone, they would tell me, you're not ready. And guess what? They were always right. This time, they're all watching me go, and they all believe I'm ready.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they all believe I'm ready.
Keep it up, Tony. Keep it up.
All right. Oh, I could keep it up for hours.
That's not what she told me. That's why she's been calling me when you're at work.
Yeah, she's calling you. Yeah, her name is Bob.
And then you tease me about my pillow, man. I didn't know you were bi-curious.
Where's the pillow? Go grab the pillow. Where's the pillow?
Hey, I didn't know you were bi-curious, Tony.
Hey, let's change conversation. I don't want to get in trouble here. Let's change. Stop. Okay. Let's.
You don't want to talk about Bob.
Oh my God. We should just end. Everyone's laughing. We should just end the show right now. We should just end it right. Hey, did you see Nicolas Deslauriers?
Oh, what a man! Yeah, of course. The fight. Of course, I did. He's amazing, man. And then people talking against fighting. Everybody was on their feet. He is amazing. I love this energy. I love this guy. We had him in Montreal.
He was always tough, but he got like stronger, I find, ever since. I think he got his face broken on one occasion or whatever, but I think he became smarter as a fighter. But he's got a lot of courage. I mean, I would imagine everyone that fights does, but even after those injuries, he's got so much courage. Tonight, he fought Watson. He did really well against Watson. And after that, Kastelich wanted to get them. He got to him too. Let's go. Referees got in the way. No, forget about it. My God, man, it's unbelievable.
I love the energy this guy brings. Watson is not in his league also. We have to admit that. Yeah. But still, he's one of the top heavyweight in the league with Ryan Reeves.
Anyway, listen, this guy, you know what? As much as it was nice having him in Montreal, Nicolas Deslauriers was born to be a flyer. I believe that.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Yeah,
for what they want to do now. Did you hear Daniel Briere a couple of days ago? He's saying, you know what? The fans, we got away from what the fans want. They used to have Philadelphia Flyers hockey. We haven't given it to them over the past couple of years. We have to get back to it. I think a little bit of what he's talking about. Yeah. Not only being competitive and making the playoffs and having a team that compete for the Stanley Cup. I think he's talking about having players like Deslauriers.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So where's the pillow?
There's no pillows, Tony. It's just the treadmill that is the treadmill.
One thing that has made the news.
This is what you needed. The treadmill right there.
Okay. How are we going to do this now? Because I have a treadmill about 10 feet away from me, and I want to show you, but my camera can't follow. So I can't do that. We have to get, you know what I got to do? Listen, to take the Sick Podcast to another level, okay?
Yeah.
What I got to do is I got to end up in a loft or a penthouse or a warehouse. I have to have videographers, live camera people there following me around. That's going to be the next edition of the Sick Podcast. It has to be, because I can't anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Okay. What were we talking about? Delorier?
Yeah, we were.
Or we changed? But you're
Tony,
laughing. Why? What are you laughing about? Are you still laughing about the pillow or what?
No, but
Tell
Tony,
it's. Tell me the truth.
About what? About what?
Back in the day of Bleu Nuit.
I didn't watch Bleu Nuit.
Liar.
Tony, I watch real stuff, not Bleu Nuit.
Stop. Everybody watch Bleu Nuit. Stop.
No, I watch real stuff. Bleu Nuit didn't show anything.
And when you watched, you hold on to your.
No, Tony, I don't hold on to my pillow when I watch stuff. Maybe that's what you do because you haven't figured it out yet. But no, I have better thing to hold on to than a pillow when I watch anything like that years ago.
All right, okay. What a bad night for Nick Suzuki, eh? His giveaway on the Lundell picks his pocket, but you know that like
Tony,
if they were playing and look, if they were playing for a playoff spot, he wouldn't try to be the last man back and try and deke like that. It still probably drove Marty St. Louis crazy anyway, even though they're out. Yeah.
This man has been playing so much minutes. He's the only center out there. Dak Hurts doesn't help him because he has to take all responsibility. Dwayne is a disaster. The guy, there's only so much he could take. He's looking, everybody's going down. Clearly, he wants to play all 82 games this year. I'm pretty sure he's not 100%, but he's a proud guy, a proud captain. He's there every game. It's going to happen sometimes. The team lost, good. We need him to lose, good. He made a mistake, good. Man, he's going to finish with 65 points this year. What else you want to ask the guy? Leave him alone. Tony, I'm going to bed.
Last question.
Okay.
Alfred Vegas says Nick Suzuki is not a number one centerman. You want to respond?
Well, I understand why he's saying that because I know with many teams in the NHL he wouldn't be. I think that and he's young again. He's not even in his prime yet. He's gonna eventually be a true number one centerman. Today he's not. Yes, I admit it, but we just have to be patient and look at the players that are around him right now. What's so funny? What's funny?
Because the second I started talking to you about Bleu Nuit and the pillow, 1 minute later you said, Tony, I gotta go to bed.
Are you eating mushroom or something? What's wrong with you? It's not even funny. What are you laughing about?
Well, because I brought it up, and a minute later you said you got to go to bed. I have a feeling.
Tony, I got to go to bed because I'm get up at 5 in the morning because I have to run in the morning. Look at this. That's what I have to do. Not eating cannelloni with coffees or whatever you're doing in the morning.
You get on the treadmill at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Good for you.
I run, and then on an empty stomach, I do I don't eat for 16 hours every day, intermittent fasting. Start doing that. Run on an empty stomach. It burns everything. And then I shower, go to work, and I wait before I eat anything.
So I will give away one of my secrets. I'm eating twice a day right now, lunch and supper. There's no breakfast right now with the program that I'm following.
Yeah, I want to have one meal a day and snacks. That's it.
You have one meal a day and snacks?
Yeah, that's it.
And what time do you have your meal at?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock in the afternoon? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, you and I will talk about it on another. Hey, listen, your kid's birthday. Thank you. I'm disappointed they didn't enjoy the game. And hopefully they weren't watching the podcast.
No, they're sleeping.
All right. Okay, good. Go enjoy your family. Thanks for doing this, George. We'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome.
All right. There you have it. George Laraque. He's a good sport. We always have a good laugh with George. I'm going to give out the number because you know what? You can call. It's time for You Called.
You Called. Presented by Playground
You Called is brought to you by Playground. Major poker festivals at Playground. The March Million features 10 ring events and $1 million in guaranteed prize pools, including a $400,000 guaranteed main event play in Playground's March Million Poker Series from March 23rd to April 2nd. Visit playground.ca for details. We'll open up the phone lines, and as usual, we'll also get to your comments, your questions, and we'll get to those as well. So whether you have questions or whether you have comments, no problem at all. Okay. At 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-SICK. All right. Geez, I think I went overtime with George Laraque. I had no idea. I'm reading some comments right now at the beginning. He had told me that he had to get off at a certain time, and I just saw it right now. Yikes. Sorry, George. Don't hold it against me. All right. Okay. I know that Frank Consolo has asked 66 Spinning, my buddy Stéphane in Quebec City, to call in. But Stéphane, look, he says, guys, it's your turn tonight. Let's go for another big night. No, we're not going for another big night tonight. We're not. There's only so many arguments I can get into with my wife. And my wife the other night, I went until 12:30 a.m. And she told me I speak very loud. And she had a hard time falling asleep. And she's not too far from me right now. And I don't want to speak loud again. I don't want to go long again. I don't want to disrupt her sleep again because she was mad at me for a couple of days. And happy wife, happy life. So at 11 p.m. tonight, I think that's it. Because I don't want to upset my wife, Already upset her enough. All right, okay. Let's get to some comments. Let's get to some calls. And Yellow, you let me know. Barry says, not trying to be a pest, but seriously, I've been watching hockey since 1974, and the NHL officiating has never been worse than it is now. Parros and his disciplinary role is just not good enough. No, I don't think he's passed the test. I think the other day, by the way, AJ Greer and Mike Hoffman to get a one-game suspension, I think it's an absolute joke. By the way, I don't like 4 officials on the ice either, especially when they still get it wrong. I'd rather they go back to 3. And I think the National Hockey League right now, in terms of officiating, out of all the sports leagues, they're the ones who fall behind. Next. Tony, what rookie do you think is most likely to start opening night next season? What rookie do I think is most likely to start opening night next season? Well, rookie next year or rookie that they have this year? I'm not so sure I understand the question. But I mean, you would think pretty much a lot of the young players that are here this year are going to be on the team next year. Jordan Harris will be on that team next year. Caden Gooley will be on that team next year. Slavkovsky will be on that team next year. I mean, I'm not so sure I understand the question, but they'll have a young team next year. They'll sprinkle in a couple of veterans who are still there because of their contracts. And eventually, when those veterans have a year or 2 left and their contract's going to be up, they won't bring them back and they'll be gone and they'll end up trading them if they can. That's the way it's going to go down. Next. Raymond Singh, sign, sold. Tony, great show as always. You see the Habs making a huge move that doesn't involve Pierre-Luc Dubois this summer at the draft like a Kirby Doc. Great question. I would say that based on where they're going to draft, and they'll have 2 picks in the first round, if one of them isn't used in an eventual deal for Pierre-Luc Dubois, then I would say that no, I don't think they'll make that kind of deal if it's not going to be Dubois. Now, speaking of Dubois, I don't see what the urgency is. I wouldn't give up top picks or top prospects for Dubois, who's going to be available. Look, everyone's saying that he wants to play for the Montreal Canadiens, and it looks that way, by the way. He opened up his own foundation. He's going to be doing great things in the community. He's from here. He grew up liking the Montreal Canadiens and stuff. He wouldn't be the first that wants to come back home. It looks like it. But You see, there's this infatuation with a certain sector of the media that want him here like yesterday. They want him here immediately. Oh, no, they have to make a trade for him this summer. And so then I say, but hold on a second. I don't understand. At the end of the year, his contract is up. His contract's up at the end of June. So he's going to sign a new contract. So if he wants to leave Winnipeg, all he has to do is get that 1-year deal because he's going to be an RFA, right? So he gets the 1-year deal, correct? Perfect. Okay. So then the Jets, let's just say they try and bring him back. He says, no, I'm not coming back. Or we'll talk at the end of the year because he wants to leave and go to Montreal, right? So the Jets take the decision to trade him. So the Jets trade him. Perfect. No problem. They trade him to whichever team. Pick a team. They trade him to, I don't know, pick a team. They trade him to, I don't know, whatever team. Detroit. So they trade him to Detroit, okay, for example. So he goes to Detroit, and then the season's over, and his contract's up, and Detroit want to sign him to a new deal. And he doesn't sign. So then he's UFA, and he signs with the Montreal Canadiens. If he really wants to come to Montreal, the Canadiens don't have to give up anything for him. You know, this urgency of going, oh, no, you have to go get him right away because then if you don't, you're going to end up losing him, this, that, and whatever, and all that stuff. I don't see it that way. I don't. And by the way, look, I take him on my team. I would. You know when I take him on my team? When he plays the way he's capable of playing at his best. But in the last 20 games or so, 25 games, Pierre-Luc Dubois has been below average. And you remember that shift with the Columbus Blue Jackets, that shift where he went out? And it's probably, in terms of being disinterested, it's probably one of the worst shifts in the history of hockey. And so I'm not going to tell you I'm not worried. Because if they would go after him, it all depends on which Pierre-Luc Dubois you're going to get. It all depends on which one you're going to get. I don't know. Worries me a little bit. Not going to lie to you. Worries me a little bit. Next. If you want to call in, Agnello told me that the lines are open right now. Let me see. Okay. 1-888-585-7425. 1-888-585-7425. This one here from Peter. Do you believe that Hughes will be wheeling and dealing this summer more so than last year? I mean, I was just asked that by Raymond Singh. Guys, I don't think there's going to be, unless there's something that happens with Dubois, okay. But if it doesn't, I don't think so. Not all that much. No, I don't. If you want a show, it will be a Dubois show. Says Jean-François Petry. Says Raymond Singh, Pierre-Luc Dubois and Jonathan Drouin are from the same part of Quebec and played in the same minor hockey. Saint Agathe. Others. Montreal will never have a 100-point player. I wouldn't say that. They did before, they will again. I'll tell you right now that if the Canadiens win the lottery, they will. That I can tell you. Next up. If the team was fairly healthy this season, how many more points do you think they would have had? Let's say 12. Let's say 12. But at the end of the day, the goal is to win the cup, man. That's the goal. Goal is to win the cup. Everyone's still asking me about Michkov. Folks, you know where I stand? If the Canadiens have the 5th pick, for example, if they have pick number 5 or 6 or 7, and he's available, I pick Michkov. At 5, 6, or 7, I do, especially at 7. You can have the debate, of course, at 5 or 6, but this guy's a phenomenal talent. Phenomenal talent. His hands are amazing. Where else are we going here? I don't know why, but I've like totally lost communication with Agnello and Sammy. So we probably have calls ringing off the hook, and I don't know. Does Suzuki have a 100-point season in him when he hits his prime? Yes. I don't know when, but Nick Suzuki will hit 100 points at some point. I believe that. I believe that he will. At some point, he's going to hit 100 points. Yep. He'll hit 100 points. All right. Others. Michael Pezzetta is a guy that I would re-sign because of how much of a team player he is. Barely played half the season. Didn't hear a word from the guy. Puts everything on the ice. You're right. Olivier, or probably Olivier Daniel, or Daniel Olivier. Or maybe Olivier Daniel. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, everyone loves Michael Pezzetta. Great guy. Leaves it all on the ice. At the end of the day, he's a 12-13. That's what he is. I mean, just take a look at the ice time they give him. Doesn't get that much. The ice time they give him leads you to believe, and if they would, they wouldn't have injuries right now, he might not be in the lineup. Might not. Others. My God, we have a lot of questions tonight. Will Montembeault be our number one next year? Well, he could be the number one on the Montreal Canadiens, yes, but that doesn't mean he's the number one in the National Hockey League. Next. What do we have here? We have Larry.
Yes, how are you?
Larry in Burlington, is that right?
That's right.
What's going on?
I talked to you before. However, Tony, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing, and that's on Michkov, or whatever his name is. And
Yeah.
just hear me out for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know how, whether you read the news or you know what's happening in the world out there.
Yeah,
But
I know exactly what's happening in Russia, yes.
First pick for this guy. And this guy, what's happening in Russia right now is incredible. And what's going to happen in the next year, next 2 years, there's going to be no trade. There's going to be nothing between Russia, America, Canada. They're going to cut everything off. That, I think, is going to happen. So why would you go out, risk a first-round draft pick for a guy that will never happen? And that's my argument. I agree he's a great hockey player, but that's way too risky of a move. Too much risk in there for me to go for this guy.
That's fine, because in life, if you don't risk, I'm a risk taker. I take risks. Some stay in their comfort zone. I don't. That's just me. By the way, I might be wrong here, and I might strike out, and I might screw it up. And by the way, if I was the GM of the Montreal Canadiens, maybe I wouldn't. It's probably easy for me to say, I'm in Ville LaSalle in my basement, which I built a podcast studio in, and I'm on YouTube Live and Facebook Live and Twitter Live. It's easy for me to say, my job does not depend on it. From here, from where I am, I tell you, I'm a risk taker. If I see the Canadians pass on Michkov, I wouldn't be surprised. And when Grant tells me that he could slide out of the top 10 easily, I believe him. He's talking to scouts. And if he's saying that, it's because the scouts are telling him that. Now, I believe that going forward, Russian players will still be able to play in the National Hockey League. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know if anybody knows that for a fact. It's just my gut. And I'm a risk taker. So the bottom line is, Right now, I'm not right. I'm not wrong. You're not right. And you're not wrong. We'll have to see when we get there. And if one day Michkov doesn't come over, you can call me and say, Tony, I told you so. And if he does come over and the Canadians have him or someone else gets him and he steps in a couple of years from now and he plays like Kirill Kaprizov plays with the Wild, then I'll tell you, hey, bud, I told you so. That's the way it's going to go down.
I totally agree with that. I'm a large risk taker myself. But then at 70 years old, there's risks that I don't take. But that's okay. We're just talking risk.
I hear you.
Anyways, Tony, it's a good show. I watch you every night.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Larry. I appreciate it. What do you make of this report by Nick Kypreos that Jeff Gorton could be interesting in being a GM somewhere?
I think that Kypreos is just putting that stuff out there just to create havoc in the. He's not a Habs fan. He's got no use for Montreal, and that's the kind of guy he is. It's just BS.
I don't know about that. I mean, Nick Kypreos wrote this in the Toronto Star. The Canadians are not making the playoffs. You think he just wrote it to what? To get people talking? You don't think somebody whispered that in his ear, Larry?
I don't know. Let's take a look at, George Laraque. I don't necessarily agree with everything he said, but you know what? This is the Montreal Canadiens. This guy is in the best league, the best team in the league. I don't think he's going to leave. There's no reason to. Look at his success so far. He's got a complete team going on. Why would you leave something good?
So what does George say that you don't agree with, by the way? Because you said I don't agree with everything he says.
Well, the trade with Mike Matheson, where that trade didn't happen, and this telling another team that don't trade Edmondson because he's got a bad back. All this stuff should be kept inside. You shouldn't be blabbing that out in the media.
Why not?
That should be all kept. He's a Montreal Canadian, an ex-Montreal Canadian.
No, Larry. He's a member. Larry, he's a member of the media. He hosts a show 2.5. Larry, hold on a second. In Montreal, or out of Montreal, George Laraque hosts a show called Le Monde de Georges, Monday to Friday, from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So he's a member of the media. He's a sports radio host, full-time sports radio host. He has contacts in the industry like many other sports radio hosts have contacts. He probably has more than some. He probably has less than some. The fact that he played in the National Hockey League, I'm sure, has given him some opportunities to talk to a few people. He gets certain information that people want to share with him. He knows what he can say and what he can't say. If he's saying something, it's because someone whispered in his ear and he was told that it was not off the record. When we're given information, we're told whether it's off the record or on the record. And when we're told that it's not off the record, or we're told, listen, don't use my name, but you can say it because this is it, then you run with it. So what do you want George Laraque to do, Larry? To host his own radio show 5 days a week, 2.5 hours a day, and not give his listeners any inside information, nothing? Well, what kind of radio show he's going to host? Talk about his pillow for 2.5 hours?
But nothing came to fruition, did it?
But Larry, nothing. Things don't always come to fruition.
Well,
You remember when Nick Kypreos came out and said that, Shea Weber's injury he's hearing is career ending? He said that. Shea Weber returned to play 6 days later. Nick Kypreos got absolutely destroyed for it. People said that he made it up. A year and a half later, Shea Weber basically has retired. You want to know why? Because Kypreos was right with his report. And Weber went against doctor's orders, basically, and decided to play through excruciating pain as much as he could until he had to get operated, because then once he got operated, there was going to be a fusion and he couldn't play anymore. Everyone said that Kypreos was lying. He made it up. It didn't come to fruition, this and that. He was right. But it didn't happen the second he said it, because a player decided to play through excruciating pain. George was told that, hey, there's a good chance the Canadians are going to trade Michael Matheson. Now, I never thought that was going to happen. But do you think George just made it up? Somebody whispered in his ear. Maybe somebody gave him right info that didn't materialize. Maybe somebody gave him wrong info. And if somebody gave him wrong info, as a sports radio host, when somebody starts giving you wrong info, you weed them out and you're like, okay, that's no longer a source. That's the way it works. Edmondson with his bad back. You don't think Edmondson has a bad back?
Of course, that's known.
So he told Edmonton, buyer beware. I wouldn't acquire Edmondson. That doesn't mean that Edmondson was not going to acquire him. If they were going to strike out on Matthias Ekholm, they were probably going to go for Edmondson. But George gave his opinion to Edmonton. I don't have a problem with him saying it, Larry. I respect your opinion, Larry, and I thank you for calling in, but I don't have a problem with him saying it. He's a member of the media now, Larry.
Well, it is what it is. And
hold on a second. Larry, you ever hear Chris Nyland give you inside info? It happens very, very often. Very often. You want to know why? He's a member of the media now.
Mm-hmm.
He had a sports radio show for about 10 years, and now he's a full-time podcaster.
Okay.
All right, Larry. Good talking to you.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. It's me that thanks you. All right. There you have it. If you want to follow that up, 1-888-585-7425. Larry has his opinion. I have mine. That's it. You can find Kypreos' comments in the Toronto Star, by the way. I was messaging him before, and I said, "Hey, Nick, I got word of your comments and stuff. Where did you make these comments?" And he just sent me he told me it was in the Toronto Star. So if you want to go check it out, it's in the Toronto Star. Yeah, there you have it. Others coming in yellow. We're going to get to one more, or what? What are we doing here? Let's see if we maybe one more comment to finish off the night. Will Caufield get a larger contract than Suzuki? Okay. I don't know. Now, yesterday on the Sick Podcast, I told Marc-Andre Perreault that based on what I'm hearing, Cole Caufield will sign a contract with the Canadians before the season is over. The final game of the regular season is Thursday, April 13th. The Canadians host the Boston Bruins. And this is what I'm hearing. They have been at it. When Jeff Gorton gave a smile to members of the media the other day, it's because they've been at it. Pat Brisson and Kent Hughes have been at it. They've had Zoom calls that have gone on for hours and hours and hours. And when you start having Zoom calls that are going on for hours, it's because, you're at work there. So now, what does it lead me to believe? It leads me to believe, and I don't know what I'm going to tell you next for a fact, but it leads me to believe that the fact that it's taken this long and they've been at it here for hours and hours and hours, it leads me to believe there's 3 scenarios on the table: 8 years, 7 years, and 3 years. Which one he's going to sign and how much he's going to sign for, I don't know. Is he going to sign for more than Suzuki? Listen, he's going to get at least $7 million a year, and he's going to get max $9 million a year. So he might, just get somewhere in the middle and get 8, or he might sign for the exact same number as Nick Suzuki. If he's going to get more than Suzuki, it's not going to be a lot more. And if he's going to get less, it's not going to be a lot less. Folks, spin it any way you want. It's going to end up being, if it's a long-term deal, it'll end up being upwards of $7 million and anywhere between 7 and 9. That's the way it's going to go down. I would think they're looking at 8, 7, or 3-year deal. And of course, the Montreal Canadiens would love nothing more than to announce an 8-year deal or a 7-year deal. This way they can say to the fan base, hey, you know what? Nick Suzuki, Cole Caufield, best of friends, are 2 top guns. One's a center, the other one's a winger. They both play on the same line. One feeds one, the other one scores. They both pick up points. They're the face of the franchise going forward, and they're going to be with you for the same amount of time. And then the Canadiens know that is their window to win a Stanley Cup. That's what I think the Montreal Canadiens want. What does Pat Brisson want? That I don't know. Pat Brisson might say, hey, Cole, you know what? I know you're tempted by 7 or 8 years, man, but I think we should sign 3. He might say that. Then Cole should say, Pat, yeah, but you know what? What if I get injured? What if I don't this? What I don't that? I'll put up numbers and Pat might be saying, yeah, well, you know what? Let's, we have to be optimistic, and let's just say you're healthy and the next 3 years you score 40, 45, and then 50. Well, then Cole, you're going to end up getting upwards of $10 million on your next contract. And Cole might do that, and he might chance it, or he might not want to chance it. I'm not going to chance getting in trouble with my wife again, because she was really upset when I went to bed at like 12:30. She told me I was too loud. All right. I'm loud. It's a sick podcast. Can we bring in Agnello and Sammy? Let's bring in Agnello and Sammy.
Ooh.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Are we ready to go?
Let's go, man.
Okay. You're Cavallaro.
You're Marinaro.
I'm Marinaro. The Sick Podcast. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like it. Share it with your friends. Comment sick. And if you check us out on Google, Apple, or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. We very much appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow night. Same time, same place, 10 o'clock. Look at Sammy. What a star. Love that kid. The Sick Podcast.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature.